Yo guys, and welcome to another review. Today I will be talking about Where the Crawdads Sing. Alright, so this movie was on my radar for quite some time. Didn't know what to expect, especially did not watch the trailer because this seems like a movie that you would just go in blind to and then be happier with the end result. So that's what I did. But I was thinking to myself, whenever I buy a ticket and I see when the movie starts, but in this theater in the Netherlands, I also see when the movie ends. And it was like 2 hours and 15 to 20 minutes after the starting thing. And when I bought my ticket, and actually when I was still driving to a movie theater, I was expecting like a 90-minute movie. But during driving, I thought like, wait a minute, I am going to be there for 2.5 hours. Why? This movie is like over 2 hours. And then when I arrived at the destination, I looked up on Letterboxd and it was actually more than 2 hours. And I did not expect that duration for a movie with a story like this at all. So that was kind of like, okay, that scares me. And it was scary up until the movie began. And the movie began with a narration. But then the movie also began with showing what happens. Like the corpse where this movie is all about, they just showed it right away. It was there in like the first scene of the movie. So I was like, what? No intro, no everything, no anything? I was so confused when I watched this movie. Mainly because of the way the story is set up. But it's a book to movie adaptation. So I thought it's gonna be okay. And then they went on to narration, and I really don't like fucking narration, especially when it's not needed and when you can just show things to us. So that was kind of a bummer, but then the movie went from flashback to flashback to flashback, and I was even more scared and more skeptical. Because if there are two things I don't like in movies, it's unnecessary and misplaced flashbacks and narration. This movie has both narration and flashbacks, and some of them felt a little out of place, and some of them felt like they were misplaced. But then, watching the movie and going further into the story and going further and further and further and what they are trying to tell you when certain flashbacks happen, it actually got me to like the flashbacks because it tells the story in a chronological order. So that is good. Even though the movie is built on flashbacks, it's still good. And you can actually say with the amount of time this movie spends in its flashbacks, you can almost say that everything that happens in the present day are more like flash forwards than the flashbacks are flashbacks, if you know what I mean. So the movie is mainly built around those flashbacks, making it easier to watch and easier to get by. And you as an audience member get to see what happens when it happens. And it's important for the next scene, and that is good. And the ending of the movie shows us something that will give you an indication of what and who actually happened and what went down on that one night. And it makes you question the entire movie and the guiltiness of some people in this movie. But then it also kind of ruins the story being told. And I can get it by the fact that it's a book to movie adaptation, and books often make those weird decisions. But this is a movie adaptation from the book. But it's mostly just a book translated into a movie. And that's also what I don't like about this. Because even though that it's a book to movie adaptation and it's a pretty good movie, you can clearly see that they only copied the big important parts of the book and put them all together on screen. The less important parts are in the narration, the flashbacks, and the way this movie is written and the way this movie is going forward are chapters in a book. So it's really the book you can feel. And the filming It was pretty generic. The storytelling was pretty generic. Some of the performances didn't really stand out because they felt too much like it was written on a screen or on a page instead of for a screen. So even though the movie in and of itself is pretty good, it still completely feels like a book to movie adaptation. But mostly a book just put to screen. Like an ebook with visuals. And the story, what I applauded this movie for, is probably mainly due to the story of the book being good. I still very much like this movie, and I still think it's a good movie. But I did wish they did some more things movie-wise with it. In the end, I liked Where the Crawdads Sing, but I just hoped they would have done a little bit more with its story and with its storytelling and visual storytelling. I'm gonna give Where the Crawdads Sing a 733 out of 1000 or a 7.3 out of 10. Have you seen this movie? Are you gonna watch this movie or did you just skip out on it completely? Please let me know in the comments down below because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on it. Thank you for watching and goodbye.